Hey, welcome to Fika. I'm so glad that you dropped by because I've been wanting to talk to you about coping and how much we rely on it. And it's something that has been coming up a lot lately. So please come in, grab yourself a cup, and let's get comfy for a little bit. So, what is coping? Coping are mechanisms that we have in our system to deal with something when we cannot immediately change it and it's not really working for us. It's causing us stress, we don't like it, it doesn't suit us, but in this moment we cannot change it, so we have to cope with it. And it's very good that we have this in our system. It's natural, it's supposed to be there, but it's supposed to be there for the short term. It's supposed to be there to deal with something in the short term and then change it in the long term. It's not supposed to be a long term thing that helps us keep going over long periods of time. Yet, we these days seem to be functioning as kind of walking coping mechanisms, and we think it's normal. And nobody's to blame for that because our entire society thinks it's normal. If you go to a therapist, what most therapists will do is teach you better coping skills. Make it so that you don't feel the problem anymore. Make it so that you can deal with this thing. And like I said, for some cases and some times, that's a good thing. But we should always be working to long-term solutions, not long-term coping skills. It's even so bad that we will often defend our coping skills, our coping mechanisms, because they allow us to keep on functioning without us having to deal with the deeper underlying issues or with the things that we actually should be addressing and changing, but we really don't want to because, I don't know, we believe they're too hard or too difficult or we can't. And that's a tricky thing. It's like we prefer those coping mechanisms, and so we've taken them on as like real parts of ourselves. And they run very deep and often very hidden, even still in myself. That's why I wanted to talk to you about this, because I've been diving quite deep into this. And even in my own system, the deeper I dive, the more I still find in there. And to the point, the thing that made me start digging again was the fact that I received a burnout signal from my body. Not to the point where I say, like, oh, I went into a full blown burnout, but there was a deep fatigue that resurfaced that would signal me, like, if you keep going down this path, you will end up in a burnout. And that was a really big wake up call because I was basically on a path to giving myself a burnout under the disguise that I was following my purpose. And I discovered this as a trap we have to be careful about because, if you listen to any coach or like anybody in this business who is someone, almost everyone will tell you follow your passion, follow your purpose. And that is true. But the thing is, follow your passion, follow your purpose is one conscious decision. And that doesn't mean because you take one conscious decision to go a certain path, that everything on that path will automatically be aligned and that you don't have to be conscious of every step that you take down that path. And I think that's a cop out that a lot of us tend to take. Like, I've taken this conscious decision, and then, being conscious all the time also requires some effort. So we kind of then let it slide off a little bit. And it's a difficult balance, because when you feel excited and you really have all these things you want to create, you want to continue to do so. But even when you're working on things you're passionate about, there are things, deadlines and tech things, and not everything you absolutely love, but some things just need to get done in order for you to create what you want to create, right? And those things, they need to happen, but they also cost energy. And if you're in this constant excitement, you are not necessarily feeling how much energy it's asking, and that's how we end up in a burnout, right? So that was big wake up call. And a big piece of advice that I can give you right now is, like, really pay attention. If you make a conscious choice to choose a certain path, it's not enough to make one conscious decision. You have to take each step consciously. And if we don't, then we start compensating and we start coping. And all of those things take a lot of energy. It's like we create a stress inside of ourselves to compensate the stress outside of ourselves. And so that keeps burning energy. And it lands us in a vicious cycle that can very easily leave us burned out or stressed out. And the longer it goes on, the harder and harder it becomes to break. And the further it takes us away from our authenticity, from living authentically. And it's because you can't cope and live authentically at the same time, because basically that's literally what coping means. It's like something you have to do because you can't have what you authentically need or want or would do in that situation if you had your choice. So even though it's good that we can do that short term, because it will take some work and doing and organizing to change things in the future, usually we don't choose to go that direction towards the future because of disempowerment issues and whatnot that we have going on. So we start using those coping skills long term. And right now, times are changing. They're going to start changing very fast. And we don't know exactly what the future holds. Anybody who tells you that they do, be very careful about that. But what we do know with a high degree of certainty is that we will see the expansion of technology continue. What we do know, or what many sources seem to agree on, is that this is pushing us into an evolution of ourselves into more authenticity. This is why I do what I do, basically, because I try to assist this process. And we can't evolve into more authenticity and still be chronically coping with everything. And I am still more than happy to help people relieve any stress, whether you want to have a massage or, relieve some pain, if you want to have a fascia therapy session, or help you figure out a problem in an embodied guidance session. I'm all happy to do that. But what really lights me up is working with people who really want to move out of all of this unhealthy level of coping. And I realized that's really why I created the program and the journey, the reconnection journey, for people who really want to go there, not just to the point where it becomes comfortable again or where the pain is basically gone or not manageable anymore, but really get to the deeper reason why that pain showed up in the first place, why that burnout was there in the first place, and not just to the point where you can function again and start doing the same things all over and over. And that's the thing, to stop running away when it gets hard, and to really make that commitment and to face all of those coping mechanisms and really transform them and move past them. That's not an easy thing to do. And that's why I've created these containers to help people do that. Because once you've made that commitment to doing that, it becomes harder to turn your back or to run away when we're at this really critical point where most people quit. So that's why I do what I do. And I want everybody to have the chance to be able to start doing that, to start that journey for themselves. And I know what I'm talking about now is like these big things and these big containers and these big commitments, but it doesn't mean that you have to start with that. The most important thing is that we start, because all of these things that are crucial to this journey is things that we have to learn, but then practice for a long time to integrate them in our system, to constantly observe within ourselves and start changing them on a daily basis. And to be able to start doing that, I wanted to extend um, something that I'm very excited about, which is we're going to do a new Hold Yourself Together challenge, which is a 3-day challenge that we're going to do Monday to Wednesday, October 6 to 8. And it's going to be at 7 p.m. Central European Summer Time. So that's the time zone of Central Europe, which is the whole line basically from Stockholm down to Madrid. So if you're in a different time zone, you can check what time that would be for you. And we're going to do a daily full presence meditation, and we're going to learn the 6 foundational building blocks that you need to understand to reconnect with your essence. And if you sign up, you will also get a free copy of the Reconnection Guide. And that way you can already start reading, studying up on what is happening and what you might have to pay more attention to. I will put the link in the description or in the comments, and there you can then sign up. It will be live in my Facebook group, but once you've signed up, you will receive all of the details that you need, where and when everything is happening. So I'll see you in there, and hopefully see you again for our next Fika. Cheers.